Oh my gosh, you guys. So good to see you guys. Man, it's been a while since me and Gregor were able to put out some content, but never fear, Mikey's got you covered today. I got some good content, and in keeping in good fashion with the regular podcast, of course, we're going to bring you stories and news that you're literally not going to find anywhere else, because that's what we do. We find weird stuff that no one else is thinking about, looking up, or reading, and we bring it to y'all. And today, Buddah Boy has just been arrested for alleged rape and possibly kidnapping of a minor. Yeah. Oh, you're... Mike, who's Buddah Boy? Oh, you don't know who Buddah Boy is? All right, so back in 2005, a young man by the name of Ran Bahadur Bomjon, I think that's how you pronounce his name, was basically an advanced student at this Buddhist monastery. And being extremely gifted, he felt that he was beyond learning anything more from his teachers and needed to do what the Buddha attempted to do, was to reach or achieve enlightenment. So he literally went out and found this hollowed out tree and literally meditated in it for allegedly 10 months without food or water or using the restroom or anything. So after several months of him doing this, word got out around to the other villages and in the cities. Hey, there's this kid, the Rambamjon, and he's basically like Buddha Part 2. This kid could possibly be the reincarnated version of Buddha. No kidding, legit. So allegedly, after several months of him meditating in this tree, everybody started going to this place. I mean, people from other villages, people from the cities are like, we got to go see if this is real. And then, sure enough, because we lived in the land of the internet, the time of the internet, basically word gets out. Once the Western press gets a hold of this, and of course, this is how I discovered it, was the BBC sent basically news teams there. So next thing you know, his family was basically the only ones in charge of guarding him and protecting him. So they had built basically a series of fences around him to protect him from all these people trying to go and gawk at him and see if this is a real thing. So after these white news people get there with all their cameras and their lights and they're running around interviewing people and everything, it kind of starts getting a little sketchy. More and more attention is being drawn to this thing. And remember, just a handful of his family members is literally the security force. So they're there literally for a few weeks filming this kid meditating night and day, not eating. He's on film almost 24 hours a day, and they got to swap out film. This is like back in the day. They got to recharge batteries or swap batteries out, right? But there is no time where anybody is able to give him food or water or anything, right? And it gets to a point to where they actually invite one of his masters, and they're like, hey, can you communicate with him and try to basically see what is the point of this? Why is he doing this? And the master's like, well, he's pretty sure why he knows why he's doing it. I think he wants to achieve enlightenment. But he's like, I will attempt to contact him and I will see how serious he is. And I will see if I can actually break his meditative state and see if I can get him to regain normal consciousness. So they let the master in there and he goes through a couple of fences and he sits approximately, I can't remember, it's 20 feet away or 15 or 10, something like that, right? He's several feet away and he sits and he starts getting into a meditative state. And this is where it gets really super interesting. After a few minutes, you can tell they're both in a deep meditative state. And this is the first time in since they started filming him that he actually starts showing signs of physical discomfort. He starts moving a little bit more because they show in time lapse that he actually is shifting his weight slowly over long periods of time. It doesn't look like he's moving at all, but when you do the time lapse, he literally looks like he's moving back and forth and rocking almost like this. It's kind of crazy how he's subconsciously doing it. But they notice that he's starting to move around more and he gets eye movements. And then for the first time since they've been there, he starts to sweat. And eventually the teacher breaks his meditative state and he comes out and he's like, man, I did everything I could do. I tried to get him to come back out and he's determined. I did everything I could do to push him out and try to get him to wake back up. And he was no. He basically was blocked me out and he's determined to do this. So the teacher goes away and everybody's basically left stunned. They're like, wow, this kid could quite literally achieve enlightenment live on video. I mean, that's what was so compelling about this. This kid, if it's true, if he literally went 10 and a half or 11 months, whatever, it was almost a year. If this is true, then he was a living example, a living personification, a living embodiment of everything that Buddha and Jesus and that these guys try to teach you about the power of the mind and the spirit and over material world and, you know, mind over matter and all, and obtaining enlightenment and all that. All of this stuff is possible and all of this stuff is true. That miracles quite literally are possible. And he was being a living example of that. Well, unfortunately, he became so popular that people were attempting to break through the fences. People were constantly yelling out to him, trying to break his concentration. It just became a fiasco. People were trying to like steal stuff that was like allegedly owned by him. It was trying to sell stuff. It got to the point where the hundreds and hundreds of people that were constantly there and never leaving literally became too much for his family to deal with and control. And without any outside force to help them, I think one night they had enough and they went in there and they literally took him and I don't know if they woke him up or what they did, but everybody woke up one morning and he was gone and his family was gone and nobody knew what happened. Allegedly, fast forward a few years later and he had moved further up into the mountains and he wanted to get away from it. And basically the attention that he got was the thing that basically ruined his chance at enlightenment. But because he had already achieved what he had achieved, he basically was able to amass this huge following. And for years, he had hundreds and even thousands of people would travel all over just to like see this guy, listen to him talk. He literally became a living prophet guru. And everybody was like, this guy is the real deal. He is legit. He is the next Buddha. I mean, he's the next prophet. So these new allegations, I think is extremely interesting. So, and I know that there's pictures of the Dalai Lama like kissing a little boy on the mouth, and it's just a really weird, creepy video. If you haven't seen that video, go find it. I didn't believe it. I was like, just more people, you know, white Christians trying to make fun of fucking everything that's not Christianity. And then I saw the video and I was like, ugh, what the hell, man? Dude, that's fucking weird. Literally, he's like sucking on the little kid's tongue. It doesn't look sexual. It just looks really fucking weird and really creepy. And why the hell would you ever do that? Especially with people filming you. Ew, weird. Poor little boy's like, Dalai Lama's like, it's so fucking weird. Anyway, with that being said, these allegations, it seems a little sus, kind of. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's something to it. Maybe he had a David Koresh moment and was like, hey, man, maybe I am like a living God. And you know, one thing I haven't gotten in a while is, so I don't know. I'm going to look more into it. And if there's anything to the allegations, I will definitely do a second video. But definitely, you guys should check out the Buddah Boy documentary and then go check out the allegations too. Because this seems almost conveniently like what happens to certain people that don't necessarily speak truth to power. They just ignore authority altogether and kind of amass their own little weird kind of cult following on their own without any regard of what the government wants to say, do, whatever. But here's the thing that I think this kid has in common that maybe Jesus and Buddha and some of these other people had going for them as well, is the ability to make massive change. The ability to make massive change is a dangerous thing when the overall global establishment of, you know, get up, go to work, earn your money, pay your bills, pay off your mortgage, pay off the financing on your car, make sure little Billy and Susie have braces and they had a college fund and blah, 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 blah. So kind of hard to keep people convincing to keep worshiping the grand economy god of your, the GDP, national GDP of your country when you're more consumed with possibly achieving enlightenment through the lessons of a guru. So anyway, just food for thought. And hey, man, we're going to keep coming up with content like this, even if Greg and me can't get together and do the podcast, which we love doing. And we know you guys, that's really why you tune in. But if we can't get together, I'll try to do some more stuff like this. And I even have a tinfoil hat edition coming soon. And this story actually led me to a giant history's mystery that I'm going to do a freaking 3-4 part video series on for the IRL podcast channel. So stay tuned, you guys. We love you. And I'll, like always, keep it strange, y'all. And Greg would say, inappropriate and weird.